That fade sucks. Dun, 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 dun. I've got to fix that fade. What's going on? How's everybody doing? It's another episode of Jon Does. I'm John, and I do stuff sometimes. Before we get rolling into anything, wilddinosaur.com, baby. It's my website. That's where I got all my stuff that you can watch and listen to. Music videos, music that I made, where to find it through, streaming stuff. But also I have a store. There's two stores technically. There's an NFT shop, so if you're interested in NFTs at all, I've made the store like about 2 years ago now. And also I have a merch shop there. I have merchandise you can get. You have sweatshirts and t-shirts and baseball style t-shirts and tote bags and stuff. This is my shirt that I'm wearing right now is the No Friends on This Planet music art. I'd say album art, but there wasn't really an album. It was a single. And then as usual, I have Linda from Sales tote bag that was purchased from the Wild Dinosaur website. This one is called Big Chief. Sorry, move the microphone stand out of the way just a tiny bit. Nice canvas bag, comes with these sweet handles, and you get color options on the handles. You can get like yellow, red, and black. And I have a couple of tote bags that I ordered because they're great. I take them to the store all the time, and I have to remember to keep one. I only have like two. One's for my old shop, so I don't show it very much, but it's a Wild Dinosaur logo. But the other two that are coming from my new shop, obviously. But it's always good to keep them in the car, just in case you end up at some store and you need an extra bag. I always like to keep them in my car. Wow. This week I've been, forgive me, a little low energy when it comes to putting this show together, and it's not because I don't want to be doing it. I definitely love streaming. This is one of my new favorite things, and it keeps me going in regards of day-to-day content that I get to work on and make. It's a nice schedule for me, and it's really helpful. So I don't mean to disrespect the show at all. There's a little bit of slow news, and I haven't really consumed a whole lot of stuff that I haven't talked about yet. The only thing coming is I'm saving my Game of Thrones talk for hopefully Dusty comes on next week. But I've been a little low energy because maybe low energy is not the right term. Focus. I seem to, my focus is normal, which has always been spotty at best anyway. So, but I've been really trying to think about my short film that I'm supposed to be making for my certificate program, and I'm not in the stages of shooting it yet, but I am taking a writing class next quarter, and I want to have a rough draft mostly completed, if not completed, by the time class starts. I would like to approach my teacher with the story that I'm trying to work on, and it's a little difficult because I already wrote this, but I wrote it in a 3-season arc. It's a historical drama, historical fiction, based on a lot of history, but spice it up for entertainment's sake. It's inspired by Deadwood. I really love Deadwood. It was one of my favorite shows for the longest time. And wanted to make something like that. I've always liked Westerns, and I've always been interested in California history, so I found a story that I wanted to tell. And I think the problem that I have is the seasons that I wrote, there's a lot of history that happens, and it takes place over a long period of time. But I need to shorten my time frame. My short film is going to be 10 to 15 minutes. It's not going to be 3-season show by any means. It's not a budget I have. I barely have the budget for this short that I want to make. There's a chance I'm seriously considering doing some small crowdsourcing, so I can pay for the location, because I it's a Western, so I really want to shoot it in a Western town. I'm not trying to like drive to Nevada or leave the state or anything like that. And but around here in Southern California, there's a handful of old movie sets. Corriganville's not. It's more of a park now. It's more of a recreational park, but it used to be an old movie set. Spawn Ranch. But there's a place in Santa Clarita I would like to shoot my Western there. So I'm very much considering, once I get to that point, of trying to raise some money. And it's not going to be like I need like millions of dollars or anything. I might need like $1,000 at most. So see if I can do like a smaller budget. The things I'm concerned about would be the location permits and insurance. So those would be things that I might try to do a small crowdsource fundraising project to get that done, because the vision I have in my head, I feel like if some people saw this when I'm done with it, I could get the show made. And the show, the person, one of the main figures in the show is kind of a controversial figure now. I guess always has been, but there's been more call to action about this person's representation around California, at least in a certain city. I'm already, I feel like I'm giving too much away at this point. I know there's a lot of historical figures that have been canceled, or I hate that. We got canceled. Accountability, or accountability, and just understanding who certain people are or were. I mean, this person died a long time ago, so not like trying to shit on their legacy or anything like that, but I just have an honest story about multiple characters, and this person and their family is the central part of the story, but my show has a bunch of other characters. There's I'm still trying to put characters together, but I will have a fair amount of Latino actors in the show. There's gonna be, the idea is to get a show made, and you have, let's say 8 to 10 episodes a season, and I want to go 3 seasons. That's, I don't know, what is that, 30 hours of content, and there's characters that I would like to, there's a lot of female characters that deserve recognition in entertainment and their place in histories too. So I've been trying to take this larger project and condense it down into a smaller thing, to a smaller 3-act structure that, you know, will fit into 15-minute short, and still be entertaining. I would like to take the I guess Lynchian approach to some of my cinematography. I like David Lynch, but I just don't really want to rewatch a lot of his movies or anything like that, but I'm really interested in him and his style and some of his storytelling. So I think I've theoretically found a way to tell the story in a unique way. And I have a couple of, I mean, I'm in my head, I have cast people, certain people, well, have dream casting, I guess, but, I already have people in mind for a certain crew. There's a person from one of my classes that I would like to, be my, director of photography and whatnot, and possibly somebody from one of my classes to edit. I also, it's a short, and I can get away with cutting some corners, but I would like to find a person who is pretty good with making some landscapes in Unreal Engine or Blender, or, you know, whatever, just a 3D artist to do some landscape stuff. I think probably a couple of shots too. Still gotta finish writing it. Anyways, yeah, so I've been trying to rack my brain, trying to figure out how to make the core parts of this show that take place over years, really condense it down into 15-minute without using too many flashbacks or anything like that. I'm not opposed to doing a flashback in my short, but it's got to be necessary, which I think it will be to telling certain parts of the story faster. I don't know, maybe some dialogue even, to just, instead of a flashback, well, you did this 5 years ago, you know, I don't know, just have some dialogue around it. Anyways, that's what I've been doing most of the day. Yesterday as well, I think I talked about that a bit. There was a bunch of stuff that I was thinking about. I don't know if it looks any different at all. Does my lighting look a little bit more reined in? I did get a softbox. It's a cheap one. It actually is like super cheap and barely works, but it's fine, and it does exactly what I need it to do. It's like a $30 softbox for my light, so I feel like I'm not completely blown out, or the light reflections on my forehead aren't like just like bright white, you know. So I've been, you know, little steps. I feel like on the technical end, my show looks pretty good. There's obviously still things to figure out or work on, such as the fade for that intro and outro music. Part of me wishes I had a little part of me wishes I was directing this with a little director board and a little audio board, like one of those Blackmagic, what are they called? The little director boards, I forget what they're called. And then like a Rodecaster. I could switch my own stuff, and I don't know. I can do that with Streamlabs. I just have to click on stuff. I don't know. There's always a difference between having to do stuff digitally and having the hardware to accomplish things. I mean, I did audio for news broadcasting for a long time. That was one of my main positions when I worked in production for various news stations, was audio. So I'm used to hitting mute buttons and sliding those faders and whatnot. Oh, dog's barking. Anyways, what do I have to talk about today? Oh, I don't know. Probably this. Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. Now, I never read this book, but my mom was really into it. She had read a handful of Eric Larson's books. Yeah, hold on. I need to pull up. What was it? I think maybe it was Thunderstruck. I don't remember. I'm just looking through some of his work. Or maybe it was just that one. I don't remember. But the book Devil in the White City came out in 2003, and it's about the World's Fair in is it in Chicago? Hold on. I'm going to just, so I don't get anything wrong, I'm going to pull up the synopsis of the book. Jason, I'm here but can be on this. Oh, you're on your cell phone? No, no worries. I'm just glad you made it. Thanks for showing up. Let's see. So, okay, here's the synopsis to Devil in the White City. Oh, this is the Amazon version. Sorry, let me get something that's more condensed. There we go. So, Devil in the White City, murder, magic, and madness at the fair that changed America. It's a historical nonfiction book by Eric Larson, presented in novelistic style. It tells the story of the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago from the viewpoint of the designer, including Daniel Burnham and Frederick Law Olmsted, and also tells the story of H.H. Holmes, a criminal figure that at the same time often... What the hell? I'm either dyslexic or this sentence is weird. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I just skipped over a word that made it look weird. A criminal figure in that same time often credited as the first modern serial killer. So, Let me give you another little thing. Devil in the White City is divided into 4 parts. The first 3 happening in Chicago between 1890 and 1893, while part 4 of the book takes place in Philadelphia circa 1895. The book interweaves the true tales of Daniel Burnham, the architect behind the 1893 World's Fair, and H.H. Holmes, the serial killer who lured his victims to their death in his elaborately constructed murder castle. Now, these things really happened. That's what the book is about, but there's stuff that really happened. All of that stuff really happened. It was originally, the rights were bought by Leo DiCaprio in 2010. And I remember hearing that there was going to be a movie about it for a while. But now it looks like it's going to be coming out on Hulu. Let's see. I have a Deadline article here for you. With a surprise celebrity in one of the starring roles. It's official, says Deadline. Keanu Reeves will star in a long gestating adaptation of Eric Larson's Devil in the White City for Hulu. The streamer today announced a limited series order for the drama, which tells the story of Daniel H. Burnham, a demanding but visionary architect who races to make his mark on history with the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, and Dr. H.H. Holmes, America's first modern serial killer, and the man behind the notorious murder castle built in the fair's shadow. This marks Reeves' first U.S. major TV role. He will also serve as an executive producer. The 8-episode series is targeted for a 2024 launch, with production not expected to commence until next year. Deadline first broke in January that Reeves was in talks for the project. It's from ABC Signature. It's from ABC Signature in association with Paramount Television Studios. Executive producers are Martin Scorsese, Rick Yoren, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Davison, Stacey Shear, Sam Shaw, Lila Bycock, just a bunch of people. Sean is writing and will serve as showrunner. Field will direct. The project has been in various stages of development since DiCaprio bought the film rights to the book in 2010 and previously set it up as a feature at Paramount with Scorsese to direct. That's the information I remembered hearing. In 2019, Hulu announced that it was developing the project as a big budget series with DiCaprio and Scorsese executive producing. So, yeah, there is a show for this. That's cool. Eight episodes on Hulu, limited series. I think that's good. That's a good format for this kind of thing, as opposed to a feature length. So again, I didn't read the book. My mom read it and was excited about it, thought the book was good, had recommended it to me at one point. So yeah, anybody excited to see Keanu Reeves as an architect in Devil in the White City? That's a great role for him. I think it's I like Keanu Reeves, and I do like seeing him. He's had his a resurgence, I guess, in modern years, and he's a good action star. But I mean, he can be a good actor too when he wants to be. And I would care to see him in maybe some more higher budget dramatic roles, not so much like Dracula. But yeah, this sounds like it could be a good fit for him. So I don't know. Has anybody read the book? Well, all right. Well, Devil in the White City. It's happening. It's happening. And it's not Leo. I wonder who they're gonna play, or cast as play. I wonder who they're gonna cast as H.H. Holmes. Would be interesting casting. All right. Well, I'm gonna do a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to talk about Warner Brothers. What's going on? What's going on there? I'll see you guys in a minute. Why did Ronald Reagan die? Because everybody dies.
I'm Richard from Richard's Pet Wedding Facilities, and I give these stickers away at every pet wedding. The kids love them too. This bag from, what's his name? Wild Dinosaur? Weren't they all wild? What an oxymoron. Anyways, I like to put my special things in this bag. Plus, I'm pretty sure this is my spirit animal.
Life gave me lemons, so I sold them for this sweet baseball tee. Well, sorry, I put these dumb glasses on and then saw Jason had texted. Sorry, brother, trying to make dinner. It would be awesome to see Neo finally make it as an architect. But for real, I hadn't heard the story, and it does sound really interesting. I'm not always a fan of miniseries, especially if they're trying to extend them. Yeah, this one, it's it's historical fiction, so I don't think that they'll try to like go any further with them. I also, I do like miniseries if they work. Like, I don't know. For example, the Watchmen series that came out. I don't know if you watched that one. It's based on a comic series. The show takes place like 20, 30 years after the comic book, something like that. And it was great. It was a really good show. And a lot of people wanted more of it, and so far they're not doing anymore. They had a one-off story they wanted to tell, and that's fine. I think it's important these days to have beginning, middles, and ends to things. I know, Jason, that you talked about Marvel being a little hard to keep up with, and you're not the only one. Excuse me, I just chugged some of that bubbly water. I had to stop drinking Coke because it was ruining my teeth. So I drink bubbly water now. It's called adulting. Sorry, I love these glasses. I'm such an idiot. Well, yeah, I think. What'd you got going on? I know it's not on the agenda today, but I'm interested to know your opinion on the future of editing feature-length movies in general. You mean like the theatrical release or versus streaming, or do you mean just formatting in general? I don't see feature lengths going anywhere, to be quite honest. The theater experience is a different story. It very much could go the way of let's see. I lost interest a while ago in Marvel and DC. Became too much to keep up with, and I didn't like that it was dominating the box office. Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that you're mostly getting superhero movies, and I think there's a real risk of oversaturation. That's why it sucks when good stories like Devil in the White City don't get a theatrical release as feature-length film. I think it depends on the story. Like the Devil in the White City, I guess it's split up into short stories or like 4 different parts. So to me, that would make sense to do it in a series, because you can do 1 or 2 episodes about one part of the story, 1 or 2 episodes about another part of the story, and then, kind of break things up episodically, I guess. But I think it's good that we have opportunities for people to make various kinds of content. I do appreciate the streaming. I talked about the streaming wars yesterday. Whatever we as consumers, however we feel about how that's changing, it's giving us more content than we've ever had before, because now you have people making stuff for Hulu and Paramount and Amazon, and I mean Disney's still doing their Disney thing. They're just making it harder to keep up, really, with some of their bigger IP. But I don't think I see the theatrical the theatrical release going away anytime soon. There was a real fear during COVID when theaters closed down, but it never seemed like it was gonna just go away. I mean, I was hearing people saying things like, sorry, I just said I have to utilize the glasses since I'm wearing them. Oh my gosh, movie theaters are closing down and going bankrupt, and we're never gonna see them again. Well, we live in a capitalist society, so whatever, like, unless COVID completely killed everybody and moved us underground, like, capitalism is gonna allow somebody to just buy, like, okay, AMC or whoever was gonna go out of business or whatever. Well, like, movie theaters are expensive to build, and you have to, like, do certain things. So why wouldn't somebody who wanted some entity or capitalist entity come along and just buy up these abandoned or foreclosed on movie theaters? I do think that there might be a change too at some point, because there's more people viewing stuff at home. I mean, we are seeing people going back to the theaters for various movies. I mean, Top Gun was one of the biggest movies of the year, if not the biggest movie of the year. I can't remember off the top of my head, but people are going to movies, and for me, I think if anything, I just see it potentially becoming a more expensive experience. And instead of like, oh, we're just gonna go to the theater for a couple bucks, like, no, it becomes the date night thing where you do go get dinner and see like a stage play. I mean, movies are kind of that now already, but like, I could see in the future inflation moving the cost up a little bit, and it becoming more of a specific event thing than just like, oh, I'm at the movie theater and there's a couple movies showing, like, I'll just go. I could see that as a possibility, but I think we haven't seen the end of theatrical releases. And I mean, I'm about to get into it with DC, but their whole plan right now is to get rid of stuff that they want to focus specifically with DC. HBO stuff is going to be HBO stuff, and DC movies are going to be theatrical releases. I haven't heard anything about Peacemaker or some of these other shows getting canceled by any means, but like Batgirl, for example, was going to be a HBO Max movie. Like, it was going to just come out on HBO Max, and that's where Warner Brothers wants to go with DC moving forward. That's what's his name, David Zaslav, the Discovery, the guy from Discovery Plus that bought, I guess that's his name, that bought Warner Brothers, the new head over there. That's one of the things they're talking about, is getting rid of some of this middleman content, I guess you would say. I'm not super worried about, as worried as some people are about like them cleaning house. I do have an opinion on like how they are presenting themselves in this process of, like, they're literally just saying the same thing Warner Brothers said like 8 years ago, where they're like, we're gonna try to do the Marvel thing, and it's like, don't try to do your own thing. Like, nobody's asking you to like be Marvel, and you never have been. You've been your own entity. You guys have had a history of competitiveness. Like, there's no reason that you need to just make a new Justice League movie all of a sudden. Like, do your own thing. I do, as much as I didn't like the Joker movie, I do appreciate the fact that it stands by itself and it's its own thing. The new Batman movie, similarly, it's not connected to any of the other stuff. I'm sure they're going to start connecting it to other stuff. That's how they want to go, but it's not connected to anything now. And I think that's I think that's something that is scary for fans to hear, and maybe even investors to think about. Of they're trying to compete with Marvel, and Marvel is in phase a million now of they've blown all of their competition out of the water when it comes to an interconnected universe. And I mean, we see it now. There's so much stuff to consume. Like, we're getting into this new phase where you have to watch Disney Plus series to keep up with some of the movies. You can't necessarily just be a casual fan anymore for some of that stuff. But I think, sorry to go off on too much of a tangent there. I think with theatrical release now, instead of like just make the movie, I think there's a little bit more thought put into like, well, what kind of story is this and how can we tell it in what format? So I think it's just a little bit more of a conversation. I mean, Obi-Wan was originally going to be a movie. The Boba Fett series was originally going to be a movie. There's a whole bunch of stuff about that that's been public about the process behind those things. And I do think, I mean, Boba Fett was super disjointed for me as a series, and I loved Boba Fett growing up. I always thought he looked cool, but you've turned this really badass bounty hunter into they created the Mandalorian after they canceled the Boba Fett movie. They brought in they created the Mandalorian, and now you have the Boba Fett character that some of us knew from the original trilogy as the Mandalorian. It embodies this character now. So like, they ended up retconning, or not retconning, but kind of changing Boba Fett into this like kind of passive anti-hero, which isn't a bad way to go, but it was done weird and like felt unbalanced. And then halfway through the season you get like Mando season 2.5. It was just kind of weird. Jason says, and I think that losing the casual viewer, you lose people that enjoy the nostalgia and used to enjoy the characters. Yeah. I mean, I think there is an element of people our age and older who liked this stuff. They're not making this for us, really. They kind of are, but they need new fan bases, and they need to sell more toys, and they need to do this, that, or the other to appease shareholders and stuff like that. So ultimately, they're gonna be catering towards a younger audience mostly, and family audiences. Let's see. I gotta take these glasses off. As much as I love them, I can't read. Sometimes it's just hard to keep up with everything, especially when you didn't like certain parts of the universe. Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that really didn't like the Eternals. I don't hate that movie. It didn't totally sit well with me as a entertaining Marvel movie, but also we're getting into a phase where we're discussing multiverses and gods and crazy big concepts like that. So Eternals seems like it fits, but I also don't really want to go back and watch that movie. So yeah, I don't know. I do think there is a difference between these giant intellectual properties that are forcing us to absorb one thing after another. I mean, how many Star Wars and Marvel shows have we had in the last 2 years? Like, I think like four or five Star Wars series. Is that right? Is it Mando, 2 seasons, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Bad Batch, I guess, if we're counting animated stuff. Yeah, it's just it is a lot for people to consume. Let's see. I want to talk about this Warner Brothers stuff for just a minute, because it is annoying to have to keep bringing this up. And I'm not even going to go through the whole history of it all, but Ezra Miller, who plays the Flash in the DC universe, keeps getting arrested, keeps doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And Warner Brothers has finally had enough, and they have publicly come out and talked about contingency plans. Okay, what's Jason got? Any even my Star Wars loving kids are losing interest. They want to watch the original. Yeah, I mean, that is the unfortunate response to any and this especially goes for like go for it, brother. Oh yeah, no. This is a comment that goes to like reboots and stuff too. It's an unfortunate thing to have to say, but the truth of the matter is, like, well, you don't like what's happening. You always have the originals. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't like that 2016 Ghostbusters movie. I haven't seen the new one, the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie yet, but I know a lot of people hated that Ghostbusters one, and honestly, when I heard those reviews, my response was to just go watch the original ones. Anyways, I don't know, and everybody's got their own ideas. It to me, it comes down to like the conversation around like separating the art from the artist. That's a personal thing. Not everybody can separate certain things. Like, some people can't listen to Michael Jackson anymore, and some people, like, I love this music, I'll never stop listening to it, but the things that he allegedly did are awful, you know. And those things are personal to everybody. So, I mean, art is subjective, and it's but it is fun to have the conversations around things. And I mean, like, you have kids, Jason, so like you get a good perspective on, like, you know, what the new generations feel about things. And if they just want to go back and watch the originals, like, to me, that's freaking rad. Let's go. Those originals are awesome. I'm not sure if you caught it, Jason, but there is a Industrial Light and Magic documentary on Disney Plus that came out like a couple weeks ago, I think now, that I found really inspiring, and it's about the beginnings of Industrial Light and Magic, the company that did special effects for Star Wars. There weren't special effects companies around when George Lucas was doing Star Wars, and so he put it together. And it doesn't just stick to Star Wars. They touch on like Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park and stuff like that. And they do talk about the change from, you know, like miniature models and stuff like that to digital technology. 6 episodes. I found it really interesting. So check that out if you haven't. I you might enjoy it. So sorry. The Warner Brothers thing that's going on is, you know, this guy has been in the news so much, Ezra Miller, for assault, grooming, burglary, trespassing, literally all of those things. So there his I didn't, but I'm definitely gonna check it out now. Sorry, I'm a bit behind you. No, it's okay. There's definitely a lag. I don't mind getting interrupted at all. Don't worry about it. The only reason I go short on my episodes or about an hour, I don't mind going longer, but the only reason I don't is because I don't have a power source for my camera yet. I'm just running off the batteries, so I just usually try to get off before the batteries drain. I do have extra batteries around, and I could pop it in and out. I don't know. I have some solutions to the power source thing, but I might be switching the camera around, or switching up which camera I use. So that would be a different power source. So I'm just waiting to figure out what's going on with that. I'm actually waiting on somebody to respond to me about my old camera. Anywho, that's not an entertaining story. Yeah, don't worry about being behind. There's definitely like a little bit of a lag from the internet. So yeah, Warner Brothers has 3 contingency plans that they announced today, of what they would do, of what they might do regarding the Ezra Miller situation. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read the 3 options that they are laying out in front of themselves. So, first, Warner has received indication that the 29-year-old Miller, whose mother has accompanied the actor in recent days, will seek professional help after returning home to their farm in Vermont after being away. If that happens, Miller, who goes by they, them pronouns, could give an interview at some point explaining their erratic behavior over the past few years. The actor could then do limited press for The Flash, and the movie would open in cinemas as planned. The second scenario, even if Miller doesn't reach out for help, Warner could still release the film, but don't expect Miller to play the prominent role in terms of marketing and publicity. Nor would Miller be the Flash going forward, as the role would be recast in future projects. I think they should just recast in general and let Ezra Miller get their life together. The third situation with the situation with Miller, if the situation with Miller deteriorates further, this would see Warner killing the movie outright, as it could not be reshot with a different actor. Miller plays multiple characters in this. In almost every scene. Scrapping a $200 million movie would be an unprecedented move. I don't know if I think the scrapping would be a rough thing to do. I know people are having a hard time with Ezra Miller, and I understandable. I'm not fighting that. I think on a business level, it sounds like Warner Brothers has been hoping the Flash movie would reset their DC universe. If the movie is that good, apparently there's been test screenings and things like that. This movie doesn't come out for a year, but it is mostly the principal production was done, and apparently there was some reshoots this summer, which just came out a couple days ago, that Ezra Miller was on set for some of those reshoots. I think this is a risky gamble, because if you just scrap it, there goes $200 million. I do think there is something to think about, though, because if you recast and reshoot everything, it's probably going to cost another $200 million. So you're going to lose money on it. But if you think it's that good of a film to pave the way forward for your DC universe, it might be worth the risk. Because if it's going to be the keystone to the rest of, the rest of the DC universe going forward, it very well might be worth the risk. Losing the $200 million on it would suck for them. I mean, budgeting for a film, You hear $200 million. You usually have to double that because of marketing. I don't think in this case you would have, if you think about it in those terms, $200 million plus another $200 million, $400 million, and then times that by 2. I don't think that'd be the case. It would be probably in the $500 million, $600 million range. Definitely a lot of money. $500 million is a lot of money. But if you can make some of that back, I mean, what was it Thor made? Would they have insurance, and could Ezra be responsible? Yeah, they can. There might be lawsuits on their end. I mean, I feel like whatever happens, even if he comes out and apologizes, I think they should be done with him and just let him, or forgive me, let them move forward and get healthy in their life. The insurance thing is definitely a possibility. I don't know what that insurance looks like, but I do know that the Batgirl movie that was canceled, for example, they're shelving that because and I heard Kevin Smith talking about this, who had something canceled. DC, he was going to be doing something with DC. It was like an animated show or something like that was canceled recently from this new merger while all this stuff's going on. And he had mentioned that there's in their insurance clause, if the movie never sees the light of day, they will get $20 million back on their $90 million loss. So it's still a $70 million loss, but their insurance would cover $20 million of that. But it has to never see the light of day, otherwise it becomes monetizable, and they would end up having to pay that money back. So there are clauses and things like that in various insurances. I don't know what it looks like on the large scale, 200 million, but I mean, if they scrap the movie, it would be because they've lost faith in their lead actor. So yeah, I don't know. There's these three options that they have. I mean, the best case scenario is that, they get better. They get better and come out and do limited press for the Flash and just kind of explain their behavior. That's the best case scenario, and even then, this should be the last project Warner Brothers does with Ezra Miller for now. I'm totally okay with redemption arcs for sure, but I mean, there's some serious stuff going on right now. Jason, I don't know. I don't know too much about the story, but what about the alleged mom and kid that went missing? Seems a little bit more damning. Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, there's not a lot of information about some of that stuff, and there's always the possibility that this mom and kids went willingly to go live on the property. Or there's always a possibility that Ezra Miller was grooming or brainwashed them of some in some capacity. We don't really have the information on that, but these things have been going on for like 2 years with this person. The first incident was of like a viral video that went went viral. I think it was right in the beginning of COVID, and Miller was in Iceland, I think it was, and they had there was like a fan that was kind of messing around with them, and Miller looked like they were really drunk, and they like choked the fan and like threw them to the ground, and it was and then like everybody was like, what is this? And then nothing. Nobody ever said anything. Warner Brothers didn't touch it. Ezra Miller didn't say anything. And then there's been all these other things that have been coming out over the last, well, really handful of months. So there's a ton of stuff that's been going on. So, I mean, even if they do release the movie and they do limited press or no press, this should be it. This should be it. Now, there are conversations about who would be a good replacement for Ezra Miller in The Flash. And I do lean into the one that a lot of people, shoot, I didn't put his graphic in here today. I was thinking about it, but I didn't. Logan Lerman is in like the Maze Runner, I think. Some other stuff. I think is a good choice. I also saw some people saying Elliot Page, which I'm not opposed to at all. I good for them for doing the work in their personal lives that they need to do to feel comfortable. I think that's great. I just don't know if I see Elliot Page as Barry Allen, because Barry Allen is usually a little in a way, Barry Allen is kind of like Spider-Man, kind of jokey at times, and especially this version that you see with Ezra Miller, a little neurotic, a bit neurotic for sure, but that plays to the jovialness, I guess, of the character. And I'm not saying Elliot Page couldn't pull that off. I just don't. I never saw Juno, okay, but I have been watching Umbrella Academy. That's one of my favorite Netflix shows, and I guess my basis on that is actors, their job is to emote and pretend to be other people and things like that, and I think Elliot Page is capable of that, but I don't know if I totally see that in the acting style. I don't know if anybody has any Elliot Page recommendations where they are a little bit more than quirky, kind of funny, kind of quirky. I think Juno is the one I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, what is it? Inception, kind of a straight character, kind of a serious character. I'm straight as in like straight man, and not a sexual thing. Just a character trope. Like, I don't want to mansplain here. That's not the point. But like, there's the straight man, and then like the comedy, like the what's the, damn it, The Odd Couple. You have the slob, the comic, and then you have like the straight man. It's the story tropes. I'm not gonna say Elliot Page, but look back to McConaughey. How long did it take to break the comedy? Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. It sometimes takes a long time for actors to find their place, really. Because yeah, McConaughey was doing those like really bad rom-coms for like a decade, maybe more. And then he blew it away with Dallas Buyers Club. Yeah, and some of those other greats. Yeah. There's definitely a fair amount of the audience base that might need a little bit of an adjustment period with Elliot Page. I'm for it. I not to say my casting choice for a Flash replacement currently is Logan Lerman. There was a movie, what's it called? Love and Monsters, that he's in, that I watched, and I mean, it's a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. It's like the movie is this post-apocalyptic world. Humanity is like underground because monsters have taken over the earth, and his character is in love with this girl, and he travels to go find her, and even all the bravest men who travel across like the outside world, they all get killed, and somehow this like nerdy goofy kid makes it all the way to go find this girl he loves, and that to me has some elements of maybe a little bit of Barry Allen there, a little bit nerdy, but brave, and I don't know. So I could see the Logan Lerman. There's probably a couple other people. I didn't think about this much today, like various castings. I was going to, but my brain was full of my own castings for my short film and the character arcs that I'm trying to write for my film. But yeah, I do think that you make a good point about it. It can take some time to establish. And I mean, Elliot Page has done great stuff. I've enjoyed them in the past, under their dead name, in their previous sex. I've enjoyed them in some of their stuff, and I really enjoy Umbrella Academy too. And I think they this was the role where they addressed it too. They addressed their identity now. And I heard some people say, "Oh, Umbrella Academy just beat us over the head with it." I was like, I didn't think so at all. I thought it was done pretty tastefully. And the conversation has to come up because multiple times, because you have, your number, what's your number, 11 or something like that, in a group, in a family full of a bunch of kids. So naturally that conversation is going to come up, but they didn't even, not excuse me, not every sibling they have, they had to show the whole they didn't do that. That brief conversations and heartfelt conversations. Excuse me. I need some liquid here. Jason wants to know more about my short film. That sounds more interesting than Marvel. So yeah, I've mentioned it a little bit, and I talked about it a little bit during the beginning of this episode too. But I think we're all done talking about Marvel and DC and Ezra Miller. I think they should recast, but still put the movie out. That's my ultimate opinion there. Put the movie out so we can see it and then move forward, because we're smart enough as an audience to understand what recasting means. So my short film, I'm not gonna give it all away, but it was when I was living in Sacramento. The idea came to me, and I was partly because I really like Deadwood, the show Deadwood on HBO, historical fiction about the founding of Deadwood, South Dakota. And there's some big things that happen. I mean, season 1, Wild Bill gets killed in Deadwood, which really happened. And Calamity Jane is a character throughout the seasons. I think the problem is not every time it seems like... I think the problem is not every time it seems like it's the message. It is really the message. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean on that. Oh, do you mean the in regards to the Ezra Miller Flash stuff? and Elliot Page. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, Pat, what's up, dude? Woo's Pigs for sure. Deadwood is great. And I really wanted to make something like that, and it's not always easy to find the right you have to find the right story to tell. And I wanted to tell a story about California history that revolves around the core story. And this is what I'm trying to extract from. I've already outlined 3 seasons, because when I wrote this story originally, it was in a TV format, and so I wrote a 3-season story about this. And for my short, I'm trying to condense it down to 10-15 minutes. Just the core heart of the whole story. But it's California history. It's about really about a father and a son, and how their relationship becomes strained against the backdrop of the founding of California. Okay, Jason says I'm behind it. I was talking about the message being pushed about genders and identity, etc. Oh yeah. It sometimes can get. Sometimes something important can feel preachy, and for me, in Umbrella Academy, when they addressed Elliot Page's gender, it didn't feel preachy to me. But again, they did have to bring it up throughout some of the earlier parts of the show. But again, that made sense to me because there's like 10 different siblings or something like that. I forget how many there are. And they're all scattered. And so when they all meet, and they see one of their siblings, it's like, you don't look the same as you did last time. And then to have that conversation of like, well, this is really who I am. Sometimes that can get lost in the sauce, the important messaging, like you said, get lost in the message. This short it's a Western. It's about California. It's about a father and son. My show has a lot more, well, let's just say there was definitely a lot of, Latinos in California at the time. So there's characters that are in the show that are not in the short. And again, it's really, the short is a condensed down version of all of it. But I have, Latin explorers and strong women who are actually part of the history of California playing certain roles. I'm going to get rid of this flash picture because it's getting a little creepy. But yeah, the show, or the short, is it's really, I don't know really what else to say about it other than it's a father-son story. In the 1840s in California history. I feel like I've given too much away. But and I've been excited about this one for a long time. I'm not much of a writer. I'm trying to be a better writer because it's one of those formats that I struggle with, both with music lyrics and just writing. It's easier for me to write a story than it is to write lyrics to a song, but I do it anyways because I have to. But when I first thought about this idea, there is a landmark in Sacramento that I went to, and I sat down on a bench in front of it, and I took pictures, and I just started writing notes. And I've been doing some history research on various elements for the last I mean, I'll be honest. It's not like I sit down every day and try to write something for this. I have been, because I have this certificate course that I'm in. I need to get some of the work done, because this is going to be my final project for my certificate. So this is going to get made. It just depends on how well. I also I was mentioning earlier, there is I forget the name of the ranch. There's a movie ranch in Santa Clarita that I want to shoot at, and I'm going to need insurance, and I'm going to need the filming permits to do it. So probably sometime in the next, I don't know, 5-6 months, maybe I'll just say this next year, within this next school year, not, you'll probably see me trying to do a GoFundMe or something like that. I've never done one, and I've never really wanted to burden people with my dumb ideas, but I'll probably do a GoFundMe for it'll probably be under $1,000 to secure insurance and the filming permit to shoot at this place. So stay tuned this year. I got some projects coming. I mean, you guys will have to stay tuned of what my live streaming schedule will be, because there's definitely going to be days that I probably won't be live streaming in the next year, just so I can finish projects. I mean, I still have a ton of stuff going on. I have 2 records. I have a couple of singles. Pat and I have our final New Pants single that I'm trying to get lyrics on, and I started a music video for that. And I'll probably be doing a little bit of animation for that one too. So as some of these projects get closer, I might have to take a couple of days, a day or two, depending on, whatever, and just say, hey, I can't stream today because I got to go shoot this thing or whatever. And actually, I think one of my classmates is doing another short next week, and I think they needed a sound person, so I should get on that, because I need to do some more on-set stuff. I have a little bit of a tiny learning curve with on-set sound operator etiquette. But yeah, so that's my short. It's a Western historical fiction drama. Not my normal thing either. The other like things that I've written that I wanted to do are mostly like comedies or sci-fi fantasy stuff. But I do love historical fiction. And California has some really awesome history. I mean, I say awesome. There's some crazy shit that's happened in California, and some not so great stuff. I mean, you can talk about the Native Americans in California and how they've been treated. Just Native Americans throughout history, or at least since Europeans got here. Yeah, so thanks for pushing some of these subjects. I know you were like, I didn't want to distract you from the Warner Brothers talk, but I do think it was I liked having the conversation that we were having about like the miniseries and things like that. What was it you asked? Sorry, I'm looking back because there's a cool yeah, you said Jason said, I know it's not on the agenda today, but I'm really interested to know your opinion on the future of editing and feature-length movies in general. Yeah, no, that was a really good question, and that's something I like talking about. And I think it's an important one too, because we're technology is constantly changing, and so movie making is changing, but also consumers are changing too. Before COVID, people were already building up their home entertainment systems, and then when COVID hit and people were getting stimulus checks and stuff like that, I mean, people were buying bigger TVs and sound systems, home theater systems and stuff like that, to be able to just consume whatever media they want at home. And I like that. I think that's a good thing. But I also think it's an interesting state of where we're going with things. And honestly, it's really, how do studios get us out of our house? Or how do they get our money from us, you know? What are we going to spend our money on? And I think that also ties in with the conversation too of how over like Star Wars and Marvel and DC some of us are. I mean, DC, I'm one of the people that I'm annoyed with DC, because for as long as Marvel's been successful, DC has been trying. They've had their own successes in the past. I mean, Richard Donner's Superman and the Dark Knight trilogy, and I mean even Keaton, 89 Batman. They've found their own success. But since Marvel has, you know, been top dog, DC's been chasing that car. And I think, you know, when DC makes a good movie, it makes people want to go see Marvel movies. But Marvel, we have our opinions about, you know, each form of like the Disney Plus series versus the movies or whatever. But for the most part, they've been successful at it. And I think we're starting to see a point where even the success is just too much. Jason's not the only person that I know that says, you know, just a little over Marvel. A lot of people are. It's a lot to keep up with. And yeah, I think it's important also to have one-off stories. Is one of the reasons why I didn't really care that they originally had done multiple seasons of Stranger Things, because talk about the nostalgia factor, like they did a really good job with like the 80s and everything like that. And for me, growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, sequels existed, but like not to the extent they exist now. And it's okay to have something end with a tease or a cliffhanger and then just never get a sequel to that. I think that's fine. I don't know. I think there's something that can be left to the audience imagination at the same time. Oh, Ryan's here. Sorry, Ryan. I didn't see you there. For a little while, I enjoyed watching one desperate comic faceplant after another. Then I felt cool. Well, I don't think you should worry about feeling too bad for that, because they've had decades. All of these comic book companies, not in movies, but they've had decades of falling on their faces. I mean, there's been so many things in comic books. What was it? The death of Superman? Like, Ryan, you would know better than I do. The things in comic history that have pissed off readers. I mean, was it all of the 90s basically with alternate covers and crap like that? And it's okay. It's okay to watch these. It has been a little bit fun to watch DC kind of deteriorate a little bit, but at the same time, I also don't wish for bad movies. I don't want them to make bad stuff. I want them to make good stuff, but Oh man, Warner Brothers. They've gone through since Man of Steel. What was that? 2010, I think. 9, 10. Since Man of Steel, DC I think has gone through like 3 different changes in like the people in charge, and Marvel hasn't done that. They did have a separation between Marvel as a whole and Marvel movies. There's a guy named Ike Perlmutter who's part of Marvel. He's a big rich dude as part of the Marvel think tank. He's not like a story writer. He's just a investor guy. But he is high up at Marvel, and there was, I think it was after the second Avengers movie, there was a big separation because Kevin Feige went to Disney and was saying, "Oh, this guy's nickel and diming us. Like we can't pay for certain things," or they were hindering this, that, or the other in the back end of production. And then Disney finally was like, "Okay, Marvel is its own thing, and Marvel movies is like we directly communicate. You don't have to worry about Ike Perlmutter or these other people so much." Let's see. I'm behind. I was talking about the message being pushed about. Oh wait, sorry. Did I miss something? Oh no. Sorry, I have 2 versions of the chat, and one of the chat's not updating. So, Jason says it's just a pain keeping up. Can I just be on your show sometime? Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I haven't done any Zoom stuff, but you should come over one of these days, and we should chat about some stuff. You got any topics you want to talk about? I'm open. You should text me about that. Yeah, I have a second mic here and a second chair, and I can just zoom out a little bit on the camera. fit you in right here. Hell yeah, I got some ideas. Hell yeah, that's great. Like I was saying a little earlier, the last couple of days have been kind of slow news days, and so I've been a little bit slow. This is probably the longest episode I've gone so far, so thanks for that. I really love the interaction. I should check the camera battery. But yeah, it's always good to have not a second opinion, but other people to ask stuff. I really do appreciate the questions you brought up, because as much as it might have felt like a sidetrack from what the title of this episode says, I think these are kind of deeper conversations that I like to have about the film industry, because yeah, there's a lot of weird back end things that I'm still learning too. Like I didn't know about the well, if you shelve this movie and it never sees the light of day, your insurance will pay you out whatever, like again, Batgirl, $90 million movie. If that movie never comes out, their insurance will pay them $20 million for that. So those were things I didn't know about, just because I don't have backroom dealings with major studios yet. The glasses are back on. All right, Jason, text me about some of your ideas. Let's have you on, dude. Let's do this. I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna go eat something, I think. Pat, where you at? Are you still watching? Ryan, hope you're having a good night. Oh yeah, again, check out wilddinosaur.com. I've got stuff there. I got stores. I have 2 stores. I've got an NFT store. Don't make fun of me for having an NFT store. I made it like 2 years ago, and it's just been there. No one's looked at my NFTs. That's fine. And yeah, and then the wilddinosaur.com merch shop where I got shirts and t-shirts and stickers and all that stuff. I always forget to tell people about my sticker packs that I have here too. They're on hand. Here, I'll pull some out. I have these sticker packs. They come with 5 vinyl stickers for $10. So I don't have these on the store. I only have them in person. So if you're interested in these sticker packs, hit me up. Direct message me, or like hire a plane to write a message in the sky. It says, "Wild Dinosaur, I want some of your stickers." But then you're going to have to leave me contact information too. So I don't know if you want that in the sky. But anyways, check out wilddinosaur.com. And the last thing, last but not least, it's super important. Go donate to Planned Parenthood. They're a really important organization that gets shit on constantly by a lot of people in this country. And they're important. They can help with family planning. They can do all kinds of other healthcare stuff for men and women. You need some balloons for some balloon animal training. They got condoms in the front, you know, just they usually have a bucket right there. Just go grab some, practice your balloon animals. You know what I mean? All right, guys. I'm out of here. Have a good night. I'll be back tomorrow at 5. Wow, I went for an hour and a half. Peace out.